Hello, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be doing a library haul. Okay, so I'm sure people look at me funny when they go to the library because I either have a very big bag or I have a very big bucket. My dream is to have one that's on wheels, but right now, this is what I have. Okay, so if you've been here a while, you know that I go to the library and I just basically grab books so that I can bring them home and spend time with them for a little while. I know that might sound really weird, but that's basically what I do. So I was in the library the other day and I perused the sci-fi section and fantasy, both YA and adult. I went through the mystery section, but I just didn't know where to start. It was kind of confusing there. But I saw a bunch of stuff that I was interested in and things that I have seen before, and so I thought I would grab them, maybe possibly try a chapter on some of these throughout the month, but who knows. They will probably sit in my bucket until I have to take them back. But at least I got to see them for a little while. So the first book I picked up, and really it's not the first book because I do not have an order here. It's just the first book I'm talking about, but it is Forest Born, and this one is by Elaine Audrey Becker. This one, let me get my phone so I can look it up on Goodreads and see what kind of genre it is from. I think it's fantasy. Okay, yes, it says it's fantasy. I don't want to read too much of the synopsis of these because I feel like if you really wanted to hear it all, you could go and read it yourself. But also, I don't want to know a whole lot about the book. So I do want to, however, read the opening. So let's see. I find her deep in the old forest, face down in the dirt. Sharp pain needles my palms where I've balled my fists so tight the nails have carved half-moon marks into the skin. Snaking across the twig-strewn ground, gnarled roots press against my boots, like a warning as I roll the young woman onto her back. Best to be sure. So, that is the opening of Forest Born. By the way, I really, really love this cover. Okay, so it never fails when I go to the library. My son has to pick out a book, and it's never in the kids section. It is always in the grown-up section. Actually, you're probably not interested in this at all. This book is his favorite book. He snuggles it at night, and he won't let go of it, and it is the cutest thing. But I think this is why he likes books in the adult section, because they're big and fun and all of that. So I hope this means he's going to be a reader, but we'll see. He's only 2, so. But he saw this one, and oh gosh. He saw this one and said space book and wanted me to get it down. So it is called Contact, and it is by Carl Sagan. This was published in 1985, and it is a sci-fi. Oh, so cool. This one's a signed copy. That's interesting because it's a library book. Oh, cool. My son really does have good tastes in books, so This might have to go onto my TBR. Okay, so the opening of the book. By human standards, it could not possibly have been artificial. It was the size of a world, but it was so oddly and intricately shaped, so clearly intended for some complex purpose that it could only have been the expression of an idea. Gliding in polar orbit about the great blue white star, it resembled some immense, imperfect polyhedron encrusted with millions of bowl-shaped barnacles. Every bowl was aimed at a particular part of the sky. Every constellation was being attended to. The polyhedral world had been performing its enigmatic function for eons. It was very patient. It could afford to wait forever. Lots of big words. Maybe not big words. I don't know. Confusing words. And so yeah, it might be too sciencey for me, but maybe I'll try a chapter. Okay, so the next one I have seen everywhere lately. So when I saw it at the library, I just picked it up so that I could possibly, you know, maybe try a chapter and see if it's something I want to keep on my TBR. But it is The Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea, and this is by Axie O. This is a YA fantasy, and it's a new release. Yeah, it actually came out this year. So, yeah, I was like, we'll try it and see. Okay, so let me read you the opening. It says, "The myths of my people say only a true bride of the sea god can bring an end to this insatiable wrath, to his insatiable wrath. When the otherworldly storms rise from the East Sea, lightning breaking the sky and waters ripping up the shore, a bride is chosen and given to the sea god." I've heard mixed things about this, so hopefully I'll try a chapter by the time I have to take it back to the library. My goal is to get as many books off of my Goodreads, if I don't want to read them, by the end of the year. So I'm gonna do a lot of try chapters just to see if I really want it on my list. Here is one that I heard of recently, and I can't remember who it was. I know Elliot Brooks mentioned it in one of her videos, but I also remember somebody else. I really wish I could remember who it was, but it is Elatso, and this is about a Native American girl. This is by Darcy Little Badger. Let's see. By the way, this book is like super heavy. Whatever paper, it's like smooth paper. It's very heavy. Okay, so here is the opening. It says, "Ellie brought the life-size plastic skull at a garage sale. The goth neighbors were moving to Salem, and they could not fit an entire Halloween warehouse into their black van. After bringing the purchase home, she dug through her box of craft supplies and glued a pair of googly eyes in its shallow eye sockets." So, I don't know. That one, we didn't really figure out what it's about, but we'll see. Okay, so this, I'm not sure what genre this is. Okay, so this one caught my eye. It is Imposters by Scott Westerfeld. This is a dystopian sci-fi book. I kind of like how this book has some little illustration type things on the pages. It's pretty cool. Okay, so here's the opening. It says, "We're about to die, probably. Our best hope is the pulse knife in my hand. It trembles softly like a bird. That's how my head trainer, Naya, says to hold it. So that one looks really intriguing. Also, I have to comment that the cover, you won't be able to tell, but it has like this glittery look to it. It's really kind of neat. I like it. Okay, so I have actually had this in my cart for, what is it called? Oh my gosh, Book Outlet. Why is it that sometimes our brains just can't remember something that we know the name of? Anyway, I've had this one in my cart and I basically really like the cover. So I don't know much about it, but I love the cover. It's called Sisters of Sword and Song, and this is by Rebecca Ross. Ooh. Look at that. I love a good map. They're just pretty. Ooh. Cool. Yeah. It actually looks like this has illustrations in it. Okay, it's not really illustrations, but the pages have little drawings on them. That's pretty neat. Okay, so Evadine, or I'm probably saying that wrong, but Evadine stood beneath the olive tree watching Maya climb with a knife clenched in her teeth. The sun was setting, but the breeze was warm, sighing from the west, where the Origenis Sea churned just beyond the grove. It would storm by evening. Evadine could sense it coming on the wind, and then tomorrow would arrive, the day her family had been anticipating for 8 long years. That one looks really good. Oh, look at the back. I love that. I might have to just read this and see if I like it so I can buy it if I do, because I love this cover. Okay. I've heard such mixed things about this book. It is The Bear and the Nightingale. Now, this really intrigues me because I have really enjoyed Russian folklore. I haven't read a whole lot of it, but what I have read, I enjoyed. And so this intrigues me, but I've heard good things and I've heard bad things. So I like to try it out for myself. This is by Catherine Arden. Okay, so let me read you the opening. It says, it was late winter in northern Rus, the air sullen with wet, that was neither rain nor snow. The brilliant February landscape had given way to the dreary gray of March, and the household of Poiter Vladimirovich, were all sniffling from the damp and thin from 6 weeks fasting on black bread and fermented cabbage. But no one was thinking of Tulibalians or runny noses, or even wistfully of porridge and roast meats, for Danya was to tell a story. So that opening kind of makes me think I might not enjoy it, but we'll see. Okay, I saw this one and had to pick it up because of the cover. I've actually never heard of it. It just has a really, really pretty cover. I love all things galaxy, aurora borealis, night sky, anything that has stars and beautiful colors, I love. So I had to pick this up. It's called The Wide Starlight, and it is by Nicole Lesperance. and it's classified as fantasy, so I'm just gonna think that that's true. Okay, here is the opening. You're not allowed to be, Okay, I think there's a typo in the first sentence. It says, you're not allowed be born or to die on Slavbard. I would assume it's supposed to be, you're not allowed to be born. I don't know. On this tiny archipelago halfway between Norway and the North Pole, there's no cemetery because the bodies freeze solid and never go away, and the hospital isn't equipped for all the messy and terrible things that can happen in childbirth. So women fly down to the mainland before their babies are due. No beginnings or endings of life, just the in-between. That sounds really intriguing. I don't like that there's a typo in the first sentence. That seems like maybe you should have caught that, but maybe it's not a typo. Maybe they meant to say it like that. I would have to read more to see if that's just how the language goes, but we'll see. Okay, here's another fantasy. It is called Wild Beauty, and it is by Anna Marie McLemore. I think I've heard about this one, but I don't remember where. Let's see what the opening is like. Later, they would blame what happened on the little wooden horses. Estrella had found them when she was 5. The set of them dust frosted and forgotten on a high shelf. They had been small enough to fit in her hands, carved wooden wings sprouting from their painted backs. Okay, so I have been wanting to read this. There's a little Texan coming out for you. I have been wanting to read this for a while. It is The School of Good and Evil. I believe this is considered middle grade, but that looks really cool. Let's see. Okay, so the camera angle / lighting has probably changed because I recorded half this video and then I looked up and it was not recording, and I was like, what happened? So I looked in my photos and I only found a photo of me, and I was like, don't tell me I didn't hit record. So I was like, okay, I'm not gonna start this video right over because it'll frustrate me. So I recorded a couple of other things and then I found that footage. So thankfully I don't have to start over, but it has been a while since I was filming that. So we're back. Okay, this is where I left off. The School for Good and Evil. This is a middle grade fantasy that I have wanted to read for a while. This is actually a really long series. I will research and put up here how many books are in the series, but it looks like it kind of grows up with them. So it starts out them being younger, and then by the time you get further on in the books, they're older teenagers. So I'm interested to see if this would be something that my oldest daughter would be interested in, but I will read the opening sentence. It is, Sophie had waited all her life to be kidnapped. But tonight, all the other children of Gavaldon writhed in their beds. If the schoolmaster took them, they'd never return, never lead a full life, never see their family again. Tonight, these children dreamt of a red-eyed thief with the body of a beast come to rip them from their sheets and stifle their screams. That one sounds really fun. Maybe not something that I would read like as a serious adult, but if I'm putting it in its place in a middle grade, I think I would enjoy it. Okay, so the next one I am super intrigued by. I'm pretty sure it's a standalone. It is Warbreaker by Brandon Sanderson. Ever since I got this from the library, I've been wanting to pick it up, but I have so many other things that I'm reading, so I don't know. I might ditch some things and read this, but if you watched my video that I posted yesterday, you know I have a lot on my plate, so it's probably gonna have to wait, but I'm very interested. Okay, I don't know a lot about it because I've never read Sanderson's fantasy. Okay, so I don't remember the name of his channel, but there's, his name is Patrick, and I will post his video and everything, or his channel down below, but he showed an illustrated version of this book the other day, and it is the most beautiful book I think I've ever seen. It's very expensive, but if I read this and liked it, I might have to save up and get that just to have it because it's beautiful. But I would want to know whether I like the book first to invest that much money in it. But yeah, that's beside the point. Okay, so this is the prologue. It's funny, Vasher thought. How many things begin with my getting thrown into prison? The guards laughed to one another, slamming the cell door shut with a clang. Vasher stood and dusted himself off, rolling his shoulder and wincing. While the bottom half of his cell door was solid wood, the top half was barred, and he could see the 3 guards open his large duffel bag and rifle through his possessions. So, I think I'm going to have to at least do try a chapter of this one because I want to read it. Okay, I picked this up in the YA section, and I basically just saw the cover and was like, I need to pick that up. It is called Written in Starlight, and it is by Isabel Ibanez. Oh, I didn't realize this was a new release. It's came out in 2021. But this is a map. All right, so chapter uno is what it says. I think that's pretty cool. It says, legend says if the jungle wants you, it will have you. The tree line looms ahead, smothering and terrifying in the dying light. Long tentacles of fog snake around thick trunks as if readying to choke the life from anyone foolish enough to enter. The sharp trill of birds and buzzing locusts are the only sounds coming from the jungle fringes. But even I know there are monsters lurking beneath the vivid green canopy. So, that one's pretty cool. I like that it is a, like South American fantasy. It's not something I've seen done a lot, so I'm intrigued. So this one I have seen Talia from Bandana Book Mom talk about. Really, I just saw her haul it, but I found it to be interesting. This is Spinning Silver by Naomi Novik. Talia says it is very good, so I am interested in trying it out. Okay, so here's the opening. The real story isn't half as pretty as the one you've heard. The real story is the miller's daughter with her long golden hair wants to catch a lord, a prince, a rich man's son, so she goes to the moneylender and borrows for a ring and a necklace and decks herself out for the festival. And she's beautiful enough, so the lord, the prince, the rich man's son notices her and dances with her and tumbles her in a quiet hayloft when the dancing is over. And afterwards he goes home and marries the rich woman his family has picked out for him. Then the miller's despoiled daughter tells everyone that the moneylender's in league with the devil, and the village runs him out, or maybe even stones him. So at least she gets to keep the jewels for a dowry, and the blacksmith marries her before the firstborn child comes along a little early. Sounds like an interesting story. I don't think that had anything to do with the story itself, but it kind of maybe gives a picture into what her family deals with. Okay, oh, this one looked so good. This is an adult, it says fantasy, but it was in the sci-fi section, so I'm not real sure. But it's called The Girl and the Star, and this is the first book of The Ice. And it's by Mark Lawrence. Look, stars. I love sky stuff. Night sky stuff. Okay, it says, many babies have killed, but it is very rare that the victim is not their mother. When the father handed his infant to the priestess to speak its fortune, the child stopped screaming, and in its place she began to howl, feeling the silence left behind. Omens are difficult and open to interpretation. But if the oracle that touches your newborn dies moments later, frothing at the mouth, it is hard, even with a mother's love, to think it is a good sign. In such cases, a second opinion is often sought. So, I don't know what it's about, but it sounds intriguing. Okay, so the next one I actually talked about on my growing TBR video, and it is Snow Crash. This is basically about a guy who lives a normal life as a pizza delivery guy, and he also lives a life in the metaverse as a warrior prince who's trying to save the world from the apocalypse. It sounds very nerdy, and I'm right there for it. So I picked it up because I want to try the first chapter and see if it's really something that I would like to keep on my list. So here, oh, what's this? So here is the first, or here is the opening. The Deliberator belongs to an elite order, a hallowed subcategory. He's got Esprit up to here. Right now, he is preparing to carry out his third mission of the night. His uniform is black as activated charcoal, filtering the very light out of the air. A bullet will bounce off its arcano fiber weave like a wren hitting a patio door, but excess perspiration wafts through it like a breeze, through a freshly napalmed forest. Where his body has bony extremities, the suit has centered armagel, feels like gritty jello, protects like a stack of telephone books. I don't know. The first paragraph didn't draw me in, so we'll see. Okay, so this one I picked up because I have an alphabet challenge, and my pick for X was the X-Files, but it's like a middle grade version, and I don't know. I don't know. I never watched the show, but it always seemed intriguing, but it was big when I was a kid, and it just wasn't kid-friendly. So I'm interested in the books, but yeah, I have to read it for myself and see. But this one is called The X-Files Origins, Devil's Advocate, and this is by Jonathan Mayberry. I don't know if I'll be interested in this. It might be not something I want to read, but this is cool. This is called Blackout Poetry, even though this isn't really poetry. It just says, I want to believe. But it's kind of neat. It's got some redacted documents in here. I don't know. I might read this instead of the middle grade version that I had on my list. It says, okay, so part 1. I want to believe, said Dana Scully. Melissa Scully looked at her sister. Dana sat a few feet away red hair tangled by the wind, blue eyes fixed on the darkening sky. Above the canopy of leaves, the first stars of a brand new April were igniting. The waxing crescent moon was low, slicing its way into the steeple of an empty church. Across the street, deep in the tall grass, a lone cricket chirped, calling for others who were not yet born. We'll see. Okay, so I have seen this around, although I haven't heard a lot of people actually talk about it. I've heard a lot of people put it on their lists, but haven't read it yet. This is How High We Go in the Dark by Sequoia Nagamatsu. Not sure what it's about. It says, in 2030, a grieving archaeologist arrives in the Arctic Circle to continue the work of his recently deceased daughter at the Batagaika crater, where researchers are studying long buried secrets now revealed in melting permafrost, including the perfectly preserved remains of a girl who appears to have been dead, who appears to have died of an ancient virus. Okay, that's intriguing. Let's see. Okay, so the first chapter, I guess, says 30,000 years beneath a eulogy. In Siberia, the thawing ground was a ceiling on the verge of collapse, sodden with ice melt and the mammoth detritus of prehistory. The kilometer-long Batagaika crater had been widening with temperature rise, like some god had unzipped the snow-topped marshlands, exposing woolly rhinos and other extinct beasts. Maxim, one of the biologists on staff and a helicopter pilot, pointed to the copper gash in the earth where my daughter had fallen shortly before discovering the 30,000-year-old remains of a girl. We circled the search. We circled the research outpost, a network of red geodesic domes peaking right below the tree line before landing in a clearing. Maxim helped me out of the chopper, grabbed my bags and a sack of mail from the back. Okay. I am intrigued. I might have to try that one. I'm always intrigued by archaeology and viruses and permafrost and all the things. So, and I actually didn't know that's what that was about. So yeah. Okay, the last one is really pretty. This is kind of like that Imposters book that has like a metallic type of look to it, but it's called A Rush of Wings by Lori E. Weymouth. This one, the opening says, "When will you show me how to do that?" Rowena Winthorpe asked her mother. She was newly turned 9, and Myriad had been promising for years to teach her the secret of working craft. They were out on the headland beyond the village of Nadalia, where the cliffs grew steep, dropping from a breakneck height to narrow spits of shingle where waves shattered and foamed. Myriad had a shovel with her and was digging up stones, which she laid in waist-high crannies and infused with protective power. I really do love the cover of that one. Okay, so hopefully after editing, this video isn't near as long as what I have because of all the distractions, but I hope you enjoyed this library haul. Comment below, let me know if you read any of these or if you're interested in reading any of them. And yeah, like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.